What's up, guys and gals? It's your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the latest chapter review for Jujustu Kaisen, chapter 152 review. We will explain the future of the series and why the chapter was so short at the end of the review and all that stuff with Geije and all that stuff. So, moving on though to the chapter, because even though it's a very short chapter, it's very significant, and I have questions. A lot of people have questions on how this went down, because the opening page of this chapter has Maki confronting her mother. Now remember, this is the same mother that we all agreed when the sort of arc started, this little mini arc of 4 chapters or whatever. We all agreed that she told Maki not to go in this little twinge of affection or love. Like, she didn't exactly warn her or whatever, but we said, like, yeah, she's still not a very good person. She's still part of the Zenin clan. She's still seemingly a horrible mother, but she told her not to go any further because she knew what was waiting. Now, did she try to stop Mai or just Maki, or what's the deal? I like to think she tried to stop both of them, because the way this chapter goes through. Though it's very confusing here what happens, because she confronts her mother, and her mother, of course, is terrified, knowing everything that went down and knowing exactly what happened, and probably knows that the whole Zenin clan is now completely destroyed. For some reason, she's terrified of Maki. But Maki is very calm and says, Mother, please, Mother, just listen to me. Listen to what I have to say for a minute. And I was sitting there going, okay, so clearly she's not going to kill her mother. Like, the opening page seems to imply that she's like, no, like, because the mother's freaked out. Maki and Mai's mother, she's just going like, oh my God, stay back, please don't hurt me, please don't kill me. She's the one assuming that. Maki is very calm, going, listen, calm down. No, like, Mother, listen to me, you know? And then finally asks the question, why did you tell me to come back then? And that's when, you know, the mother's freaking out. She's like in the kitchen. Apparently she was cooking while the entire Zenin clan was being eliminated. I guess that's what you do. It's just like, well, better make sure that those eggs, you know, that rice omelet is, I mean, I can't leave the kitchen. The stove is on. I mean, really, you know, so people are getting slaughtered outside. But, I mean, what do you expect me to do? Not finish the omelet? I mean, right? Like, I'm a cook. I understand. So, apparently she was cooking while the slaughter was going on. And she just says, like, what are you talking about, sort of idea. And then we see Maki looking very grim and going forward. Now, this is what makes it really weird, because she goes, no, and then the mother continues to freak out. Like, what are you talking about? No, stop. Don't come any closer. Don't, you know, that kind of stuff. And then we see a splat of blood, you know, just go against the wall. Now, the weird thing here, there's a couple of weird things. Number one, Maki was like, I'm just confused. I think the lack of pages makes the transition very confusing, and I understand why this chapter, though it's very short, there's sort of that, okay, what exactly is happening? Because at first it looks like Maki's like, Mother, I'm not going to kill you, you know, I killed the rest of the Zenins. You're not exactly, you know, uppity up either, but, you know, I'm not going to kill you. You're not like our father who, you know, did this, and this. That seems to be her intention in the first page. Then in the second page, she seems to, like, resolve herself to doing it anyways. And then the weirder part comes in is that Noya is still alive. You know, that one punch completely, like, crushed in his face, and he's bleeding all over the place, and he's completely weakened. But he's slamming into the walls, and he's crawling a trail of blood and all this stuff. Here's where the second weird thing comes into play, is that Noya is basically like, that damn girl couldn't finish me off. He's crawling and stuff, and in behind him appears Maki and Mai's mother. Now, this is the second weird thing, that number one, okay, so Maki apparently, because the knife looks clean, the cleaver, the knife, the kitchen knife that she's wielding looks clean, so it appears that Maki's mother did not, you know, slit her own throat, that Maki actually did do it, and then left her to her fate, I guess. But once again, that's sort of contradictory from one page to the second page in that transition. And then here, this is the other weird thing, is that, so why did she show up? Like, she shows up, she doesn't just crumble to the floor in the kitchen, she goes out of her way to go find Noya, and then chooses to stab him in the back. I understand the poetic, the very ironic, the karma of Noya, a woman who can't stay 3 steps behind a man and is very is against women and all this stuff, and his very anti-feminism, anti-this, very sexist attitude towards things. This is a very karma-ridden death for him to suffer. He can't do anything. He's got to grovel on the ground like a dog while he gets stabbed in the back by not Maki and not by a powerful opponent, but by someone seemingly without cursed energy. Somebody, or maybe she has some, but nonetheless a woman, but a housewife, basically, right? So it's a very fitting end for him. He's going to die. A lot of people are talking about him coming back as a curse or a vengeful spirit or something like that, and whatever. I don't care about that, because I never cared about his character. But this is a weird thing, because now this is the second time where, once again, the transition, it's like, okay, so why did she go out of her way to go and kill him? After, remember, she's terrified of Maki. Maki killed her, seemingly, slit her throat, and then she went out of her way to finish off what Maki was doing? Like, to make sure that he didn't recover and go after her? Like, I'm sort of missing something here, because then, as she crumbles there, she's bleeding out her throat, she's dying, she stabs Noya in the back, seemingly killing him. I'm assuming he's dead now. We see a scene of Mai and Maki and their mother, like, in the garden or whatever, and says, like, I'm so glad that I gave birth to you. See where I'm missing some information here, it seems? It's like, I don't really know what's going on. I really don't, because, okay, so she was terrified of Maki. Maki seemingly had no intention of killing her. Apparently off-screen slit her throat. Then the mother, who was terrified and didn't want any of this Zenin shit to go down anyways, or Maki and Mai to, I guess, die, apparently, had that lingering bit of motherly affection. And then after she's killed by her, basically both her daughters, she goes out of her way to then protect her daughters from further revenge, and then goes, I'm so glad that I gave birth to you, even though you just slit my damn throat. Like, I mean, you could say that she felt guilty, and that's why she did the whole, come back thing, and that's what Maki's asking about, but I feel like out of all chapters, and I understand the health of Geijay, or however you say his name, the mangaka, is very important, but I feel like maybe they should have postponed this chapter as well. I sort of feel that way, because I think we needed 1 or 2 more pages. It could have still been a short chapter, but I feel like we needed a transition page or a couple more panels just to sort of explain what's going on here, because a lot of this is a lot of emotions, a lot of factors, and a lot of reading between the lines and hoping that we're correct. Like, I don't know if I'm right. I'm assuming that this is basically, as I said, it still doesn't make sense, because Maki's attitude in the first page does not match up with her slitting her mother's throat in the second page. It doesn't really add up. Slitting the mother's throat makes sense, but not with the first page of this chapter, it doesn't. So, I don't know, with her whole, mother, please listen to me, I want some answers. Like, why did you tell me to come back? Maki recognizes that she told her to come back because she knew what was waiting on the other side of the door. She didn't want her daughters to die. She probably told Mai the same thing. They both didn't listen to her, and that was the one thing she could do. She was bound by the rules and the laws of the Zenin clan, which was binding everyone, so Maki, of all people, can understand how her mother was very much caught between rock and hard place, and wasn't like her father, who was just an asshole, but literally didn't have it within her power to stop them one way or another. All she could do was just, basically sit down, suffer, and wait and pray that they didn't die, sort of idea. That was all she could do. So I think Maki recognized that. It still doesn't make her a great mother or anything, but at least that was her one thing. She didn't want her daughters to die, so she told them to come back. They didn't listen to her, and then here's the consequences of that. That seemed to be Maki's understanding of the situation, hence why she went to her mother and said, listen, why did you tell me that? And then she all of a sudden flips the switch and is like, well, I guess it doesn't matter. I'm going to kill you anyways. It doesn't really suit where we're going. And then for Maki's mother to then go and, as I said, sort of help her daughter, who just killed. Anyways, Point of the matter is, there's only 2 more pages left, so I have to expand the review a little bit. An 8-minute review would have been a little, so that's why I'm just going through it page by page, guys, sort of doing a question thing, sort of questioning the method to the madness here. As I said, because it's such a short chapter, I'm not fully convinced. Did she slit her own throat? I don't think so, but Maki slitting her throat doesn't make sense either, so I mean, you can explain away both, but then you can't explain away the other. That's the problem. Page to page, the personalities are sort of flip-flopping, it seems, and I'm just not making a whole lot of sense out of it. Either way, it's fine at the end of the day. Noya is officially dead. The mother's dead. The Zenin clan is destroyed. That's pretty much what happened. So Maki is seen then carrying Mai's body to the little witch girl. I forget her name, but one of the Kyoto students. One of them, and I remember them being like sort of friendly or friends or something like that. So there was that. So she hands off the body, of course, to the witch friend, to the Kyoto student friend, and basically says, "I told mine not to go, and this is the end result," and stuff. And says, "So what are you going to do now, Maki?" And Maki just keeps moving forward. So that's the end of the chapter, and it also explains here. Now this is very interesting, is that. So the Zenin clan, who are absent today, would soon die violent deaths. 6 members, 20. So 6 members of the Hai clan, 21 members. Basically, the Zenin clan is all but destroyed by the sounds of it. I guess there weren't that many squads. There weren't like 13 squads or anything like the very bleach aesthetic they were applying to the Zenin clan. It appears like that was pretty much the hierarchy. And the foot soldiers were all slaughtered by Maki for the most part. You know, there might be a couple of stragglers, a couple of survivors, people out on missions or whatever. But the Zenin clan, for their boasting their power and their numbers, is all but destroyed. So they found the traces, of course, they found the traces of the cursed tool and stuff like that. No traces of cursed energy, but just slight traces of the cursed tool that Maki used to slaughter everybody. That's when, here's the interesting part. So that's basically a summary of what happened, and everybody knows what happened, that the Zenin clan has been decimated. Days later, the Gojo clan and the Keimon clan proposed removing the Zenin clan from the 3 great families. Now, would that mean that there would be an open slot for another family to rise to the occasion? There are other clans, just none as powerful, prestigious, or as big as the 3. So is it possible that it's an open slot? Like there will always be 3 sort of great families? Or is it just mean that there's only going to be 2 great families from here on out and they eradicate the 3rd? I mean, in Bleach, they did that. There used to be the 5 great noble families, and then they were down to 4. They never replaced it because the 5th family fell out of grace after numerous issues happened in Bleach. So by the time of the main story, there were only 4 noble families. There used to be 5. I'm assuming that this does not mean there's an open slot. I'm assuming that this means, no, there goes, that's it. Then now there's only 2 great families. The Zenin are now disgraced. They're trash. They're not nobility anymore, or whatever, however you want to look at it. They're not the elite anymore. Now, apparently, according to the Jujustu headquarters, they've put the verdict on that proposal on hold. It hasn't been confirmed, or it hasn't been allowed or denied yet, but I think it's leaning that way. And I mean, this implies that there still are Zenin survivors, which we do know. We have like Maki herself, and of course Megumi, but like there's probably a few more out there, but realistically, neither one of them want anything to do with the family. So, you know, that there's probably some stragglers, as I said before, but for all intents and purposes, is there really any members of the Zenin family left? I don't know. Maybe there's a few I'm not thinking of, but for the most part, I guess that's the case. So I don't know why put the verdict on hold. I suppose it would be a huge change and shift in tradition and in government and in politics and all that stuff for the last, you know, years and decades and centuries to make such an important change just like that. So they're putting the decision on hold for now, but I think at the end of the day, the Zenin clan they're not going to be a phoenix rising from the ashes. I think this is the end of the Zenin clan, which, once again, this is actually really interesting because we knew that the Zenin clan was only going to be a hindrance for the main arc. That's sort of, we're doing all these little side bits sort of transitioning before we enter the main big arc again. And a lot of people aren't happy about that, but I mean, I really liked it. But the fact of the matter is that the Zenin clan was only going to ever get in the way of the purposes of stopping Kenjaku and stuff like that. They were always going to be a hindrance and never a help. So really, realistically, eliminating them was one of the best ideas that Maki could have done at this junction. Before the culling game starts, before they have to deal with Kenjaku, before, let's eliminate the other adversaries in the world so we can all just, laser focus on the main prize, on the main villain, so to speak. And so either way, there was quite a bit to talk about in this chapter, even though it was only like 10 pages. But I definitely thought that it did need a couple more pages. I don't know if you guys feel that way. I feel like it needed at least one more page, if not two, just to transition us better into what exactly went down with Maki's mother, because it seems like she's jumping through hoops. It's like a 180 personality switch every page. Same with Maki, it appears. So it's just a little hard to follow and a little hard to dissect what exactly happened. I remember seeing first reactions of people assuming that it wasn't Maki and it was the mother slit her own throat and then she went to kill Noya. So I saw that. Now, I don't think that's the case anymore, but maybe it is. But the fact of the matter is that we can actually open that for discussion means that it wasn't clear enough in the manga. So either way. So moving on to, I guess, so that's the end of the chapter, blah, blah, blah. So that's the end of the review. Moving on to the future of Jujutsu Kaisen, of course. Gege, or Gege, or however you say his name, the mangaka for Jujutsu Kaisen is, of course, he does not have any serious medical conditions, but he is in poor health. He's been urged to take a vacation for many, many days, and basically he's getting further and further and further behind with his own schedule. So if this stuff's supposed to be ready by Tuesday, it's not ready until Wednesday, and et cetera, et cetera. And he's not getting ahead of the game. He's not getting back. He's only getting backlogged further and further and further, and he's overworking himself. And especially with the big death, of Berserk's mangaka, I think that a lot of the editorial departments are going, listen, these guys definitely need breaks, and if we see it, we can't have this, So I think they're finally, it always takes, big actions and big events and things to happen to get people to get off their ass and realize that it was a problem until it's too late. But now, thankfully, he's going to be taking about a 1-month vacation. The series is going to go on hiatus, not canceled. And then we're going to pick it up off at chapter 153 sometime probably in mid-July. I'm assuming that this delay will go on, this hiatus will probably be like 4 or 5 weeks. He needs the vacation. He's in not great health, is the point, because he's overworked. He's overstressed, he's overworked, etc., etc. He's probably not eating the best. Mangaka life, right? They work stupid hours. So, either way, he is apparently fine. If we read all the the notes and all the stuff and all the everything that was on Twitter and everything, he's apparently perfectly fine. Nothing serious going down, like no hospitalization or anything, but he needs the break. He's been urged to take the vacation by the editorial department at Shonen Jump, and that's what he's going to do. So I think that's great, and I think we'll all just be waiting patiently for chapter 153. And for those who did not like this mini arc, I don't know really what you want. Maki is a fan favorite character, but at the end of the day, she is not a main character. She is a side character. So the fact that we got to spend 4 chapters or 5 chapters on her alone, solo, I mean, most side characters in most major manga never get that. They get maybe a chapter. And usually it's involved with telling their backstory to a main character. They never have a fight. They never have a resolve that happens with their own ambitions. Or at the very least, the only time that we get dedication on that scale is 2 chapters at the end of the final arc where some of the side characters get their final villain, their final fight, that kind of stuff. But we're always transitioning between fights at that stage. It's never 4 or 5 chapters of a small little mini arc, if you will, about a side character. So I think, as a Maki fan, I think that this was more than generous and more than we should have expected to get. Because once again, she is a side character. No matter how good a character she is a side character, and generally speaking, you don't take your focus off of the main cast for more than a few chapters. So the fact that we got this kind of focus on her is really, really cool, and I really liked it. So some people think it's too fast. I think it's fine. What do you guys think? But that's the end of the review. Well, the review was already over, but I had to mention, of course, about the mangaka stuff and the health and things like that. It is going on hiatus. We'll all be back here. Chapter 153 drops. I might be making a little bit of Jujutsu Kaisen content in the meantime while the hiatus is going on. Maybe if I get to it, maybe not. We'll just have to wait and see. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know this review actually took quite a long time, but there was extra stuff here to tack on. Of course, the mangaka health, the hiatus, and then of course everyone's dissatisfaction with this mini arc. Even if they're Maki fans, it's too fast. And if they're not Maki fans, they're like, this is dumb. Like, why are we doing this? So there doesn't seem to be a lot of happy people about this about these last few chapters, and I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. So I think it's fine, and I think it's more generous than most other series get for side characters and their development. So. But that's just me. So like, comment, subscribe as always, guys. We'll see you back here next time. Drink responsibly as always, as I always do. And this has been Griever signing out. See ya.